So first what I want to start with, the sump. This has got a lot of cracks. I have spoken to the client. We're going to replace this actual unit, but I'm just going to clean it for demonstration purposes. Again, have a look at that slime. We want to get rid of all that horrible slime. Before I do this, I'm just going to give it a bit of a pre-rinse under water because it's a little bit too dirty. Okay, so we're back. What I want to do is I'm going to take my solvent again, and I'm just going to apply it just to start breaking down the lime scale. You just want to get the loose flakes off because this is what's going to get stuck in the pump and also contaminate the ice. So I've tried to take as much of the scale off. Most importantly is we've taken out all the slime and the dirt. As I mentioned, this sump will have to be replaced, but in the meantime, until we get the replacement part, we can just use duct tape just to hold the container in place and not leak, because there's not a lot of pressure in here. It will hold, but won't hold for too long. Yeah, I'm going to clean the cascade. If you can't really see it, but inside there's a lot of junk. What I generally like doing is I'll take a cloth, just sort of fold it like that, and with the pipe is just push it through, give it a good clean, and have a look at all that junk that's coming out. With this one, it's not that bad. We can just use a high pressure just to clean this out. For these holes, all you do is sometimes you're going to get a lot of lime scale in these little holes here. Just loosen them up with a screwdriver, and the same will apply with these. So we're not too bad with this one. We can, oh, there's one here. So clean. And this can be rinsed. Next, what I'm going to do is I'm going to work on the actual water pump. I want to split this apart because I want to clean inside the actual pump mechanism. So first things first is you're going to take off your filter, and you'll notice that it is going to be relatively dirty. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to let this soak in my solution. To strip down the pump also depends on the type of model. This one uses a little screw here, nuts and bolts actually. Get this plate off and the pump mechanism disconnected. And that comes completely loose. Little nuts over there is I've loosened this up. I'm going to pop off this fan carefully, and then the actual pump mechanism comes off. This I can put aside, and here's the actual pump. Always important to remember is have a look at these bearings. If these bearings are rusted, you can buy just standard bearings to replace. It is a bit of a horrible design. I want to take this screw off, and there's another one on the other side. Now that the pump and motor are separate, what you have to do now is to take the impeller off, and just remember this is going to be the opposite of tightening. So in this case I'm going clockwise to unscrew the actual impeller and the pump. Look inside here, this is that slime that we want to get rid of, and I'm going to wash this completely down. This I can wash, just got to be try not to get too much moisture into or water into the bearings. So I'm just going to pretty much give this one a good rinse off, and the same with these parts. This do not touch, don't submerge with water, because this is your actual pump, your motor windings, so that we can just give it a good wipe down, but not submerge in water. This we're just going to go ahead and clean with our solvent. So we've cleaned everything up. Our pump is cleaned, filters are clean, and I managed to get that line scale off this shaft. As I mentioned before, the reason why I separate these during the service is I just want to make sure these bearings are not grinding or seizing. These are still in good order, so we can start assembling the actual pump, but everything looks brand new. So to start, I'm going to assemble this pump section. Perfect. The motor assembly, just simply slip that back inside. Now before I tighten it, what I want to do is I just want to make sure it is running freely. This is your earth point. Always make sure that you replace it, because this is a 220 volt motor and it will shock somebody if there is a fault. Okay, not too tight, because now I'm just going to make sure that it is running freely. Just remember there is a seal in here. You don't want to lose that. Okay, so now that it is running freely, I can go ahead and tighten it. One more time. Perfect. Right, so what I've done is I've just connected the pump, and I've got this little plate on. Just remember, you've got that funny little clip over there, and I'm just going to go ahead and put the final screw. That's tight. Again, I'm going to put the fan on last, because with moving around I could damage the actual fan. Next is the impeller. Remember, this time I'm going to go anti-clockwise to tighten the impeller. Not too tight, because you can damage the threads. Spin it, and we're not getting any rubbing, we're not getting any scratching or grinding, so we're pretty well balanced. Next is the clip, or the plate. That's just going to slip on. This one is a bit damaged, I noticed. I'll just make a note of this for the client, and we might have to repair this or buy a new filter, a new pump. But that should hold in place. And that's the pump assembled. And lastly, the fan. Spin it again. Make sure that you're not getting any grinding or rubbing, and this is ready to be installed. Next is the cascade. So we know that when we took it off, our water pipe came this side, and the screw was facing downwards with the cascade holes facing towards the back of the machine. So we know that this is going to go in this way. Always try and take note of the way you disassembled your parts. It just makes it easier. So this side I'm going to put the stop, and this side goes the other stopper. What I like to do is, if you have a look at these holes, I like to turn these holes 90 degrees, or you can even go a little bit more. I just don't like them facing at the same time, because you create too many eddy currents and it can obstruct or hamper the flow, so you don't get a nice even flow. So turn it about, I'd say, a good 90 degrees, and just make sure that your stopper is in place. Give it a good push, just to make sure you have a perfect seal. We're still sitting at 90 degrees, and all I'm going to do is I'm going to place my holding screw in place. And that's the cascade ready. Here I have my hoses. Remember how they looked before? They've been nicely cleaned. Only time you have to replace these is when they start getting brittle, but these are still relatively okay. That's just paint, so I'm not too phased about it. but other than that, as long as the inside is clean and they're not brittle, you're good. Sometimes just squeeze them if there's too much calcium inside or lime scale. You just want to replace it because it can block up your cascade. This is the ice sensor, as I mentioned before, so we cleaned it up really nicely. I'd just like to give it a bit of a quick sand, nice and smooth, so we make sure we get a really good contact. And that's ready for installation.